There was only one team, it seemed, which was playing the qualifier one. It was that team which has booked its place in the final of the IPL. Yes, Mumbai Indians, the team which finished on the top of the points table, completely decimated Delhi Capitals for the third time this season. This was qualifier one. This was expected to be a cracker of a match, but Mumbai Indians just completely took the wind out of the sails of the Delhi Capitals, put 200 on the board, and then reduced them to 0 for 3. Yes, everything that could have gone wrong for Delhi Capitals did. I wrote a preview of the qualifier one on our website a few 2 days back, and I mentioned that if you have to look at Murphy's law, then Delhi Capitals should be prepared for the worst, because whenever they have qualified for the knockouts or for the playoffs, something or the other has gone drastically wrong, and it did once again. My name is Arnab. We'll talk about this match and, of course, the Eliminator, the first out and out knockout match of this season, which is coming up later today between RCB and SRH. Joining me is Rasesh Mandani. Rasesh, you must be smiling year to year, because Mumbai Indians have qualified for the sixth IPL final, second in a row, become only the second team after CSK to achieve that feat, to qualify for two back-to-back finals. And to be fair, this is a team which has looked like a champion team from day one. Apart from losing that first match against CSK, where CSK were clinical, Mumbai have looked amazing throughout this campaign, and everybody fired yesterday. Apart from Rohit Sharma, everyone chipped in. What power hitting towards the end of the innings, and then that Yorker from Jasprit Bumrah. I mean, the smile on Shikhar Dhawan's face while he was walking back just said the story.
Yes, a smile sort of helplessness. And Mumbai Indians is no longer like, the only the Mumbaikars who support them. It's sort of becoming a very popular team across the country. And that's basically coming from the strength of their performances and the star power that they have and the power hitters that they have. But yeah, I think if for Delhi Capitals to have any chance, they obviously they needed to, we discussed that they should not lose wickets to Bumrah and Bolt. And at least they also needed their bowlers who are one thought a lot more superior force than their batting unit to come good. Either of those events did not happen, so they simply did not have any chance. I mean, we were all impressed with Hardik Pandya's hitting abilities at the end, but I mean, he was really fed, deliveries in his strength areas. Like we expect Rabada and Nortje to have bowled a little bit better, the sort of momentum that they had found in the initial part of the tournament. But sort of like you rightly said, it was winds off their sails. It was you know fodder for Hardik Pandya. He got those 30 extra runs, and once in the opening power play, Trent and Bumrah got those wickets, the match was done and dusted there.
Also, a lot needs to be asked in terms of the kind of preparation that they had, the kind of mindset that they went in with. I mean, when you have a Ricky Ponting in that dugout, Ricky Ponting is known for being part of. He led two teams in World Cups, Rasesh, where the strategy was similar. You bat big, you bat the team out of the final. And that's what I'm like. So when Ricky Ponting is there in the Delhi dugout, we thought that perhaps when they won the toss, they could have. I mean, due is a factor, but then as Mumbai showed that you can negate that as well by batting well. So I don't know what they did. Daniel Sams, again, they're going in with a bowler who's yet to pick a wicket in the entire tournament. Bowled the first over, gave away 15 runs, almost similar to the 2003 World Cup when Zahir Khan handed over the initiative to the Australians in the very first over. I mean, why do you go in with a defensive mindset first up? We spoke about the chances of perhaps playing a Sandeep Lamichhane. You don't want to play him. Perhaps getting a Shimron Hetmeyer, as Ian Bishop mentioned in the commentary. I think it was Ian Bishop. He said that you go in with the players who can win you matches. Sams, can he win you match? Can he win you the match with the ball? No, he can't. Hetmeyer perhaps can win you the match with his lusty blows, lusty hitting towards the end of the order. So Daniel Sams again giving more than 10 runs, in the 4 overs that he did, and of course Rabada and Nortje. There was a little period in the middle where Delhi Capitals came back, where they had picked up those wickets. Surya Kumar Yadav got out, Pollard got out for a duck, and you realize that, okay, fine, perhaps if they can get one more wicket, then they can get into the tail, and then they can stop the flow of runs, and maybe 170, 180 target was chaseable on this wicket. But I mean, the very very strange sort of a mindset that Delhi Capitals went in with in this match.
Your internet is showing up, Arnab. You're being too critical of Delhi Capitals. I think you're right. I mean, they didn't spring in a surprise. They didn't spring in a surprise, which they could have. Probably the decision to bowl first wasn't entirely surprising, but due was being a very big factor. So, as it turned out, it was the class of Mumbai Indians which sort of, showed that matches can be won batting first as well. But, they probably wanted to be a little careful. But I mean, they didn't swing us away. It was a very interesting point that you made about Lavichandra possibly coming in. They didn't think of those lines. The Angles have certainly they needed to relook his position, and I'm sure they will do that. They will be forced to do that in the next match. They'll be forced to look at Prithvi Shaw's position as well in the next match, try and bring a Shimron Atmayer in. Yeah, so tactically they could have done a few things to surprise Mumbai Indians. They did not do that, and then obviously their form players sort of not delivering, not topping up on the good performances. Even those who've done well in the course of the tournament did not. So come the big day. If you want to beat a big team like Mumbai Indians, you got to try and hurt them where it hurts the most. You got to spring in a surprise. Delhi Capitals did nothing of that. So.
Yeah, and if you have to win the league, if you have to win IPL, then at some point you have to beat teams like Mumbai Indians and CSK, and only then can you win the league. So, all right, we'll see how Delhi Capitals go from here. Mumbai Indians have qualified, and now we are looking at the first knockout, which will be played later today. The eliminator between SRH and RCB, a tale of two completely different teams in terms of the form guide that they have. SRH won 3 on the trot to qualify, having won 4 out of the last 5. RCB, the worst possible way to qualify, perhaps, having lost 4 matches. In the last 4 matches that they played, they lost all of them. Just managed to qualify on the basis of run rate over KKR. So, when you walk into a match like this, Rasesh, does form really matter? Somewhere at the back of your mind, you would really think that, okay, fine, we beat this team just a week back. We can do that again. And I think that's what might help SRH. Also, talking about the fact that 2 players who have completely changed their campaign, Ridhiman Saha and Jason Holder. That's that. When I say surprise, when I say you need people to change the way you are going, change the momentum, and that's what I think SRH did. They brought in 2 people, it worked for them, and they have stuck onto the winning formula.
Yeah, form absolutely matters. I mean, I know captains like to come out and say that we are looking at it as a new tournament, knockout matches, everything that happened in the tournament is forgotten. But look, SRH have got more wins than losses in the past few bunch of games that they've played. It's been the reverse for Royal Challengers Bangalore. They barely went through, entered the playoffs through run rate sort of scenario. So, that will be a factor. These are very 2 contrasting sides. Will be interesting context. I mean, RCB is a lot more aggressive side led by their captain. And Hyderabad sort of tries to strangulate the opposition, contain the flow of runs, Rashid Khan coming in. So they are very contrasting approaches. The only area where Hyderabad is aggressive is at the top of the order. So they rely on their openers, the top 3, to get them a lot of runs. And then they are, unlike a lot of other teams, don't wait for the death overs to sort of come up with their onslaught. So that's the only area where they adapt a little differently. So the wicket will probably matter, the toss will matter, the strategies that the 2 team adopt will matter, and RCB will have to, if they've got any chance of winning this contest, they will have to find a way. The batsmen will have to find a way of reducing that over reliance on Kohli and AB de Villiers. There could be perhaps a case of Virat Kohli opening the batting. We do not know. It's interesting. There's one interview of Brian Lara that we put out. He said, "Why not open with Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers?" Now that may look radical, but his point of view is that when they come in at 3 and 4, there is already a sort of a course that the match is taken, and then they have to react to the situation. If you open with the 2 of them, perhaps one of them is guaranteed to get a big one. If it is a Virat Kohli, that night might be RCB. So that's his position. Perhaps there's not enough depth in this RCB unit to be able to do that, but surely there could be a case of one of them, probably Virat Kohli, coming up the order.
Yes, one of them can definitely open, because when you look at a Devdutt Padikkal, you don't see him batting anywhere else, because he's got those lofted strokes and he can make the most of the power play. So Padikkal is somebody who's tasted success also as opener. So Padikkal stays as the opener in my view. But then yes, there can definitely be a case made for Virat to open the batting, because he's not really looked comfortable throughout the tournament. I mean, there was that series of 2-3 matches where he got scores, but then he's not really. That's a good part also for RCB. Perhaps they've qualified for the playoffs without too many match-winning performances from ABD and Virat Kohli. So that's a good thing to look out for. But then, when you look at a Devdutt Padikkal, he gets runs at a fair clip initially, but then there's a bit of Shubman Gill in him. When he goes on to score a 60 or a 70, he would consume 50 balls. So you don't get that 70 odd from 30 balls from a Devdutt Padikkal. So you're right. The match actually takes a particular course, and that is where perhaps RCB will have to make a change. But 2 players who will be extremely crucial for both their teams' fortunes, and they are 2 spinners of highest quality: Rashid Khan, Yuzvendra Chahal. these two players, perhaps their performance could actually guide which way the match goes.
Yes, most definitely. That will be, both their performances will be very, very crucial. Both of them sort of, they lead the wicket taking tally for both the sides. We know Rashid, obviously, they're different operators. Rashid relies more on the googly, Chahal relies more on the leggies. Rashid Khan sort of gets wickets by just creating this doubt in the batsman's mind. Yuzvendra Chahal is so much, he sort of gives the air so much, a lot more than the other. But both of them pick up wickets consistently for their sides. And there's no doubt that either of them cannot slip. With Rashid, you can expect he will not. With Chahal, of course, some of the teams sometimes try and take advantage of him, try and hit him out of the attack. So whether Hyderabad have got the resources to be able to do that, what sort of start did they get at the top will be important. But will be a fascinating contest is between the two leg spinners. Certainly the two standout spinners in the competition so far.
Yes, and the other thing that will be important is for RCB's stars to perform. SRH is perhaps more of a team which relies on all its cogs to come together. They would need a Sandeep Sharma to do well. They would need a Natarajan to nail those Yorkers. They would need Jason Holder to play both with the bat and ball. They would need Warner, Williamson, Manish Pandey, everybody to contribute to get towards the victory. But RCB, they have these players who can actually run away with the match, and perhaps that's what they need in a knockout situation. Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers, these are players who will be looking at the possibility. Here we are, 3 matches to win. Let's try and give it our best, and let's just perhaps hit the opposition out of the match.
Absolutely. They both of them need to fire. One of them needs to score 100. It's not an ideal situation where you're expecting one performer to sort of lead your team to victory, but that is where they find themselves in the sort of collective might that they were able to show in the first phase of the tournament. That is now missing. So let's accept that. Sundar would bowl 3 overs. Chahal would pick up wickets. Morris was doing so well. They seem to have lost that rhythm a little bit. So again, they will need one of De Villiers and Virat to sort of come up with super performances to be able to sort of give them a few runs above par to sort of make up for some of the other batsmen, and the others can rally around them, because there's that big link that RCB has, their lower middle order, which is virtually
non-existent, where they can't really expect to get too many runs. All right, we have set this match up pretty well. Moving into the trump card of the match, Rasesh, who is your trump card and the reason behind it?
Rashid Khan, and just like Jasprit Bumrah in the previous match, I mean, he's such a big factor because there's no one like him. Just the way there's no one like Bumrah, there's no one like Rashid Khan as far as the spinning resources are concerned. Because not only does he pick up wickets, he makes run scoring so much more difficult. He's again sort of summoned in those middle overs if some partnership has got going. But the only difference is obviously he doesn't bowl too much at the dead, but he does the job that is expected of a spinner. So, like a lot of other teams, I would think RCB would also look to play him out rather than hit him out of the attack, unless he's really bowling poorly or provides some opportunities. But it's such a big factor how they handle him. Again, my think would be the same. Don't lose wickets against him, even if you cannot score too many runs.
Yes, those are 4 overs which you just completely take out of the equation when Rashid Khan is there in the opposing 11. We'll see how that match goes. A lot of narratives there, a lot of small battles to look out for. And of course, that little bit of revenge which might be there in Virat Kohli's mind. 2016 was the year when he scored so many runs, was expected to win the IPL, but SRH spoiled the party. At the end in the final. So we'll see how that match goes. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching Battleground T20. We will be back on Sunday to preview the qualifier 2 between Delhi Capitals and the team which wins today. Thank you very much.